Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and today we're going to be working on the Sweet Heart Roadster project again. So a little recap on this project for anybody that hasn't been with the channel for a while. I've been building this car from basically a really rough old farmer's restoration that was found in a barn in north central, I guess you'd call it, or northern Pennsylvania. And basically this thing was really rough. We pulled it all apart, broke it in half, and now 5-6 years later, we are basically into making this car nice. We're almost at that point. So now we have somebody. Now we are at the point of doing some of the last little touches on this car. So it has taken me a really long time to find all the parts I want for this car. On top of it, trying to make it nice and really think out all the stuff I'm doing to it, I was looking for some pretty rare parts. So we now have gotten the horn intake with the 4.2s, a rotaphase. I got the Duval windshield on it, Duval style windshield on it that I've always wanted. And one of the last pieces I was looking for that I could not find, no matter how hard I searched, was a set of quad headlight stands, so cast aluminum. So these were offered, I guess in the mid to late 50s they were offered, and a couple companies made them. This particular set is Offenhauser, and I've wanted a set since I've seen a couple cars in the little books with them. I'm like, man, that's so cool. More recently, Tuck, that's on the Ham, Instagram, all that, Tuck's has been building some really cool cars for years. He's probably one of the only, I don't want to say only, but one of the few that I've seen that's mocked up a set on a modern traditional build, so to speak. I've always loved them on his car, and he apparently had an extra set. He put a set up on Instagram. I snagged them up right away. Super happy to have these. So now today we're gonna put these on the car because my headlights finally showed up. So the headlights I always had in mind, and I found some basically brand new, is an old set of Marchal headlights. So this is a French company. I've always loved these lights. They have a little nipple, so to speak, on them that's actually made into the glass. Really cool reflector or beam pattern on the glass, and they're just really neat lights. And 4 little headlights I think is a cool look for what I'm going for. So today we're going to mock this all up. These mounts have never been mounted because there is no holes drilled in them. So we need to fit them to the frame. Usually they're made to fit 32 frames. Fit up all the headlights and see how it's going to look. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I don't hate it and want to take it all off and figure something else out. But really excited to get these mounted, so let's get working. Alright, so first things first, we got these headlight mounts here that Moon's inspecting. As you can see, they are drilled for I guess a common size, like the guide headlights and some of those. But I already noticed that with the Marchal lights, the stud is, come on, fit your wiring through here. The stud is just too big, so I'm going to need to ream that hole out just a little bit. First of all, before we start even test fitting them, because what I'm going to have to do is just clamp these on the frame before we even drill any holes. I need to clamp these on the frame and see if I like where they're at, how they're going to look, etc., etc. If you don't care about the work, once I clamp these up, you can pretty much just turn the video off. Don't, please. But I have a full set of 4 in here. These are all brand new. I'm not sure if they're, I got them off eBay. I'm not sure if they're reproductions or if they're new old stock. They're obviously brand new, which is great. I don't really care too much, but I don't know if they make Marchal reproduction, but these are super nice. They came on a lot of, actually, Marchal branded, they came as like accessory fog lights and driving lights for all sorts of different French, Italian, European cars in general. I first found one of these, and I think I still have it. They made all different sizes, a real big giant, like 5 or 7 inch driving light or fog light, and an old junkyard I used to frequent when I was in my teens, early 20s, and I still have that light, and I was just fascinated by the glass lens that has that nipple on. It's just super cool, and ever since then I've always wanted to put a set on a hot rod, so that's what we're doing. So I'll dig out the other 2. I gotta open these holes up, probably just be able to use the hand drill and just go back through there and open it up one size, no big deal, and then we'll start test fitting. Alright, one of the reasons I also like these lights, or I wanted to run these stands, is that I have this frame has a flat cross member which requires you to cut out the frame a little bit right there for clearance of the spring, and it's a little bit of a modern thing, so to speak. So I wanted to kind of make that disappear. It's one of the secrets to getting this car sitting so low. So this probably looks pretty cool. I can't tell right now. But these are made to basically sit on a 32 frame. All these Offy mounts and different headlight mounts. So what we're going to try and do is get a clamp on there to hold it in place. Close enough for now. That looks cool. Alright, so got the lights mounted, at least with our clamps here, and it looks so cool. Again, and this might not be everybody's taste, but this is definitely right out of the little books is what I was kind of going for here. So late 50s show car look, really, really neat. Kind of ties the flipper hubcaps and all that stuff together. Now the one thing I'm not sure about yet is the grill. I took a couple photos and went in and ate a snack and kind of stared at them and stared at the car, and it looks like the grill, now looking here, the headlights are almost right in the center of the grill, which is actually pretty good symmetry wise, but at some angles it looks like the grill might be a little tall compared to the lights. And a lot of cars you would see these lights on, they were heavily channeled, or the grills were chopped or sectioned quite a bit. So I don't really mind it from the size, just certain angles. So I took some measurements. This grill is almost a completely uncut grill. It's one of my better grills, honestly. I've had this for years. Got it at Rhinebeck from a guy I would buy stuff from quite regularly. But I have this one here that we got at the Pittsburgh 3536 stuff that we bought. I had that stashed away for myself. This one is cut a little bit more. I think it's about an inch that this is channeled down over the cross member. So I'm going to set that down on there, see how that looks. That might give me a little bit better of a look. So I'm going to quick swap that out and we'll take a look at it and do all that. Before we start drilling holes, I want to definitely make sure that I like how everything sits and figure out the formula. But man, that thing's looking super cool. Patented stainless safety wire. Every car has it for the grill pretty much. It's using it forever. Okay. I actually pinched the front horns together on this when I built this frame so that they're like nice and tight on the side of the grill shell. So I may have to just notch it a little bit just to give room for paint, but kind of squeezes the grill pretty nice. I like that. Matt from a few years ago did a good job there. So, let's see. That's a little bit better. Yeah, I like that. Not quite as tall. In the last couple shots, I was turning down some nuts that we ended up using as little threaded inserts. So I got them welded in place here, as you can see. I drilled a hole through, a countersink it, and it gives you a little pocket that you can lay TIG weld in. I did the same thing on the Pagoda City Coupe for motor mounts years ago, and it worked out fine. Nothing's broken, body's still holding on, so should be fine some headlight stands. And that way I can just grind the surface, sand it flat, and the headlight stands won't be sitting up on top. If I would have used like those threaded inserts, they usually have a flange that kind of sits on top. Sometimes you can countersink it like that, but usually they're not as strong, so I decided to use weld with my little threaded inserts. So now that these have cooled down, I'm going to test fit the lights. I still need to put something on the side here of the frame, but I wanted to get these two bolts lined up, bolted in, and then I can mark my hole for the backside. All right, so we got the headlights all mounted and everything is looking bitchin'. It's just so cool. This just screams late 50s, early 60s little book show rod, which is what I'm going for. And I really like how they fill the gap in between the tire and the grill. It kind of fills that area in from the front, which is really, really neat. So everything's kind of flowing how I envisioned it, which is good. In between filming this video, I realized that Offenhauser actually started reproducing. They continued to produce these again, and using the same molds like they do, which is awesome, American-made stuff. They now offer these on their website, which is cool. So if you decide you want to do something similar, you can. I didn't know that, but I still got a good deal on them versus new, which is nice. And yeah, this thing is pretty cool. So the plan is for the 4 headlights, we're going to leave all 4 headlights on. So when you're driving, you have 4 headlights, which will be really cool. And then what we can do is make, like, say, the inner lights also our turn signals, so we can make them blink kind of like we did on the Stroll car. And we don't have to add any auxiliary turn signals on the car and keep everything nice and clean as far as, you know, having little bullet lights or whatever hanging off, which I'm not a huge fan of. So other than this grill is perfect. I never realized that the grill kind of sat too high. It was basically level how I had it sitting, but with the rake of the car and how everything's nice and low in the front, the grill kind of looked awkward or a little tall, especially when you put these headlights on. So this grill is probably cut and channeled, so to speak, maybe about an inch lower than the original, and that was just enough. Everything looks proportional. So I'll just keep this grill on it for now. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the grill. Obviously I need a nicer one that the bars aren't all bent up, but this should work out pretty good. From here on out, we just got a couple little things I need to do to the car. I'm searching for a couple more key parts to do for a radio and antenna, so I'll kind of just give a hint at that. Hopefully I find some of that stuff at Hershey. And otherwise, we're just going to be finish welding things, tightening up gaps, just doing all that kind of stuff in the background that needs to be done but isn't really a video because it's just me welding and sanding and spending hours tightening everything up, which is part of making a car that is nice and shiny. So people can stop yelling at me, this will be shiny. So yeah, so thank you guys for following along. Let me know what you think of the quad headlight setup on the Sweet Heart Roadster. I'm super psyched on it, and I can't wait to get this thing to come together and hopefully be shiny sometime in the relatively near future. Thanks guys, catch you later.